Hello everyone, I'm Karen from Bound by Stitches. Today we're going to talk with my friend Kathleen and going to ask her some questions about her long arm experience and her relatively new machine we have right here. So Kathleen, if you could tell me what made you decide to buy a long arm?
Well, our quilt guild was having a quilt show and there was a guy from a shop and he had this set up and I loved what people were doing on it and I thought, oh, I'd like to do that. And I thought it was a little bit expensive, so I was going to buy a little smaller one that you could like take clips off and move your quilt and put the clips back on. And I talked to a couple of women who had this kind of long arm and they said, if you do bigger quilts, you really want something like this. So when my husband came to pick me up, I said, hon, come here. And we talked to the man and we found it to be a good investment, and so we got it.
Your husband is so nice.
He is.
He's a keeper, isn't he? Okay. So did you set up your machine? Did somebody from the shop come out to your house?
Well, the show was in October and I brought it home that day. I went to the shop, picked it up, brought it home. In December, I convinced my husband and my son-in-law that they would be able to put it together watching a video, and they did in a couple of hours. And it was all set to go. They had the machine set up and everything, and there it was.
Here we are. Okay. So what happened from there?
Absolutely nothing. No, not really. I called the shop because you got a class, like a 2-hour class to go with it when you bought it. And they wanted me to come up to the shop, but they weren't going to teach me on my machine. They said, well, we don't have that machine anymore. We have different machines set up. And I thought, well, how many people are in the class? They said, oh, 1 or 2. I said, well, then can you come to my house and teach me on my machine? So they did that. And the woman that came was here for about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay. And what did you do when she was here?
I had a small wall hanging quilt that I thought, oh, this will be good, to start on. It wasn't anything that I was really emotionally tied to, so she taught me how to load it. She taught me how to do the stitch which held everything in place straight across, and then she showed me how to thread the machine, how to put the bobbin in, how to start with the sewing, how to do the stitching, and that was about it.
Sounds like a good beginner class,
Mm-hmm.
which apparently it was.
Yeah, covered pretty much everything.
Okay. So have you taken any other classes or watched any videos online or classes online?
I've watched some videos online and, I thought, oh, maybe someday I'll be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, someday. Alrighty. So then, at that point, you hadn't made any other quilts, hadn't tried anything else?
No, I did work on that one quilt that we loaded,
Mm-hmm.
and all I basically did was stitch in the ditch, straight across, straight up, straight down, and when it was done and I took it off, I was a little bit disappointed how it came out.
Oh, well, I think you were very brave to put a quilt on there to begin with, but hey, everybody does what they want to do.
Right.
Okay, so since that time, when was that? Was that soon after
That was
the teacher came out?
Probably, December, January. Probably
Okay.
December or January.
Okay. And then what have you done since then?
I haven't done anything.
Okay, and why is that? What was going on?
Well, I kind of felt like, okay, I did that one time with the teacher,
Mhm.
but then I didn't have really time. Life got busy, things were going on, and
happens.
yep. And so I never really took the time to put stuff on and to start actually practicing, which I knew I should do.
Mm-hmm.
But I also had a lot of quilts that I wanted to be quilted, and when I thought about putting them on, the fear factor stopped me from doing anything.
Okay.
So I basically haven't done anything.
So when you say the fear factor, what does that actually mean? I mean, I understand what fear means, but in relationship to your machine and your frame, was it a concern that you wouldn't load your quilt right, wouldn't thread the machine correctly? Was it?
I don't think it was so much that as it might not come out as good as I want it to,
Okay.
no matter what I'm doing. Even the practicing, I mean, I know that I should have put stuff on and practiced, and even that was intimidating. I'm kind of the way I learn is show me and I can do it, and I didn't have anyone to show me. I mean, I could have watched the videos and had them right there, but that didn't seem to work.
Okay. All right. So then that brings us up to how we got together as far as creating this this video. Is I mentioned to you that I wanted to start a blog about quilting, whether it is needle and thread in your hand, or a domestic machine, or a long arm such as this one. And I mentioned that while I have some experience on my long arm, I had a previous one before, which would be called a mid-arm machine. I did upgrade. I bought a used machine that's also a handy quilter. It's the Fusion with the Pro Stitcher. And the only thing I've done on that to date is several quilts that I use the computerized quilting. And there's certainly a learning curve with that too. So, because I wanted to start doing videos about long arm quilting, even though I'm not an expert,
Right.
I think it would be great to learn from mistakes that I'm also making, so that you can see when it's happening, what happened, what led up to that particular point, and then work on that issue,
Right.
and then hopefully help others in the same spot. So Kathleen was gracious enough to let me interview her, and also come over yesterday to help her with getting practice muslin on the frame, how to thread her machine, how to use her brand new bobbin winder, and then start to practice. And as Kathleen mentioned, she put a quilt on her frame to begin with, and I wouldn't do that. I didn't do that, but I can certainly understand the desire to do so. I counted how many quilts I have at home that need to be quilted. 23. And I'm sure there's more in various nooks and crannies in my house that I just have forgotten about, perhaps conveniently. But here we are. I needed to practice, so I figured, all right, I'd practice on some of my quilts that were for me with the computer, and then move on to free motion quilting, which I had enjoyed in the past. Didn't get fabulous at it, but I could make a mean feather. It was really nice. So we all get there at one point or another. We all have, like, just in life itself, we have good points and not so strong points, and we work on what we feel we want to improve on, and the other ones, well, maybe we never make feathers. So there are plenty of people out there that don't like them.
Right.
So yesterday we spent the time, as I mentioned already, getting Kathleen set up on her frame again, putting in a big piece of muslin, batting, and a top. And Kathleen, we set up some lines, and Kathleen...
She gave me homework.
I did. I gave her homework. I did. And she actually texted me because she had a little issue with her bobbin. Her new bobbin winder apparently didn't work the way it was supposed to, not because of the machine.
Because I didn't do it right.
User error, and we all have that. I've done it many times where I think I've got it down, and I just, do it quickly and move on, and find out later wasn't such a smart idea. So I think at this point what we're going to do is finish up with this video, and then we'll create another one with Kathleen now loading the quilt, setting up her machine all by herself, to see what it is that she has retained from yesterday, because I know I've been to many classes. I've gone to MQX up in New Hampshire several times, have taken classes, loved it, and I'd like us to go in February. I think it's February, February, next year, so that we can take some classes and have a girls' weekend out. Plus, there's really good fish tacos up there.
Mhm.
At any rate, after taking those classes and being so excited about, taking the classes and seeing the quilt show and all of that, I was on sensory overload and I was not able to retain everything that I would have liked from those classes. So I think for me, if I go back, or when we go back again in February, I'm going to limit my time to taking perhaps only 2 classes and then maybe a lecture or something, so that for my personal use and what I can retain, I would be better suited with that. And there are many people that take classes all day, every day, and go home and bing, bang, boom, they're working it.
God bless them.
God bless them is right. Okay. Well, thank you for,
thank
for
you.
being my...
No, thank you.
Oh, no. I have to thank you. You're so special. All right, folks. Thanks for joining us, and I will see you again. Thank you.